I believe that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Birdman really loves Wayne in that way. I believe that he would not want Lil Wayne harmed in that way, and I don't think he would associate with somebody who tried to do harm to Lil Wayne.
According to Alvin Lewis, he's saying that Birdman promised Jimmy Winfrey $250,000 and a Porsche, and that was for the shooting.
Where's he getting this information from?
I have no idea.
Exactly, man. You can't be believing these second, third-hand sources.
A friend of mine's introduced me to Wayne, so when I first met him, he became like my son. Like, you know, in New Orleans, we don't have fathers a lot.
You and Wayne had like a kiss thing going on.
First of all, my own born son,
Yes.
I would kiss him.
Right.
I know you got a child, you probably kiss him. You probably got a son and you kiss him.
Yeah.
You heard me? I always looked at Wayne as my son, and I always looked at it like, because I was in the streets, and I thought this might be. From day one, it's just, I guess I've been blessed to be keeping with the uprise with the music business. And Drake just did $1 million, been #1 for the last 8-9 weeks. Nicki in the lab. I got a little situation with Wayne we got to get in order, but I'm looking forward to doing it. I didn't never want the music business to interfere with my relationship with my son anyway. I love him to death. I raised him. So that's something I personally have to do because I don't ever want that to, because right now it's affecting our personal relationship.
Right.
At some point we're going to get together. It ain't like we enemies. We definitely not enemies.
Right, I hear you.
In no kind of way. But like I said, at the end of the day, before it's all said and done for me, he's what I came in the game with, and he what I want to leave on some ego, to be honest with you. And I just think, you know, for the business, I ain't gonna let it rest like that. I ain't gonna let the game go when we be on different sides of the coin. I ain't gonna allow that.
What do you think about Wayne wanting to leave Cash Money?
I wouldn't know. You know, that's, you know, only he know what's going on with his wallet and what he's supposed to have or whatever. So I wouldn't know. They've been together a long time.
Y'all kissed in the mouth, bro, forever. Like that's like y'all are forever known as the hip hop couple who kissed each other in the mouth. Like whatever people talk about weird things we've seen in hip hop and how hip hop has gotten so strange and people are accepting of it, that's one of the things they always bring up.
And, you know, I remember when I interviewed Terrence Gangsta Williams, and he said he hates that Wayne does that, but it's not like he could really say anything. He's like, but we don't, that's not us. You know, he's New Orleans, you know, uptown.
How does a relationship that once looked unbreakable turn this ugly? How does a man you call dad end up being the same person you sue for tens of millions? While rumors swirl that your life was put in danger. Because the Lil Wayne and Birdman fallout wasn't just about contracts or missed payments, it spiraled into lawsuits, public humiliation, and one night that permanently changed hip-hop. And it all started years before anyone was watching. Before the plaques, before the chains, before the world knew his name, Dwayne Carter was just a kid from Hollygrove trying to survive. When Wayne crossed paths with Birdman in the early 90s, he was barely 9 years old. Cash Money wasn't some polished record label back then. It was street-level hustle. Vinyl pressed independently, music moved hand to hand, no safety nets. Wayne didn't just impress Birdman with talent, he impressed him with hunger. After Wayne's stepfather was taken from him, that bond deepened fast. Birdman didn't just become a mentor, he became family. Lil Wayne started calling him Pops. In interviews, Birdman called Wayne his son. That emotional bond would shape everything that followed, but it also made walking away almost impossible. And that would matter later. As Cash Money exploded, Wayne became its heartbeat. Juvenile, Hot Boys, platinum albums, the label turned New Orleans into the center of the rap universe. And Wayne was the youngest one in the room, soaking it all in. Public affection between Lil Wayne and Birdman became part of the brand. Sometimes it made people uncomfortable, but Wayne always defended it. To him, it wasn't weird. It was family. Meanwhile, when something else was happening behind the scenes, artists kept leaving Cash Money, accusing the label of funny business with money. Juvenile, Manny Fresh, BG, all gone, all upset. Lil Wayne noticed, but he stayed. That loyalty would cost him, because while Lil Wayne trusted Birdman with everything, Birdman controlled everything. And eventually, Wayne started realizing just how little power he really had. By the late 2000s, Wayne wasn't just a star, he was a system. Young Money took over the industry. Drake, Nicki, endless hits, endless tours, endless revenue. Massive advances started flowing in. Numbers so big most artists never see them. But Wayne claimed something wasn't adding up. He alleged that money meant for Young Money was being rerouted. that advances meant to fund his label were being used to cover Cash Money's debts. Hype that he didn't even know where his own earnings were going. Then came Young Thug. Birdman signed him and started positioning him as the next Wayne. Same vocal style, same experimental energy, same attention. To Wayne, it felt like betrayal. The man he trusted with his career was preparing for life after him. And that's when everything snapped. The Carter V should have been Wayne's victory lap. Instead, it became his prison. The album was finished, delivered, ready to drop. And yet, it kept getting blocked. Date after date passed, excuse after excuse. Wayne finally lost patience. In December 2014, he went public, called himself a prisoner, said he wanted off the label, no subliminals, no hints, straight shots. The industry watched in shock. Wayne followed it up with a lawsuit demanding $51 million and full freedom. When he dissed Cash Money on records, on stage, everywhere. This wasn't business anymore, it was personal. And soon, it would turn dangerous. April 2015. Wayne finishes performing in Atlanta. His tour buses roll onto the highway. And then, shots ring out. Multiple rounds, 2 buses hit, dozens of people inside. It happened fast, but the impact lasted forever. Nobody on Wayne's team was physically harmed that night, and on paper, that should have been the end of it. But mentally, everything shifted, because when bullets fly that close, survival stops feeling like luck and starts feeling like a warning. The shooter was arrested almost immediately, but that didn't mean the danger had passed. In fact, that was just the beginning of the discomfort. Investigators began piecing together phone records, and what they found made heads spin. The calls were made just minutes before the attack, not random disconnected calls. These were deliberate, precise, and traced directly to people in Young Thug's circle. Every time a record was analyzed, it raised more questions than answers. How far did this go? Who knew what? And when? Then came the bombshell, a leaked jail call involving Birdman. The conversation spread like wildfire online. Fans, journalists, and conspiracy theorists replayed it endlessly, dissecting every word, every pause, and every subtle shift in tone. For some, it was proof of collusion. For others, a confusing distraction. Legally, it didn't amount to much, but emotionally and psychologically, it rattled Wayne and everyone around him. No criminal charges ever stuck against Birdman or Young Thug. Prosecutors ultimately cited a lack of concrete evidence. Not beyond timing and associations, there was nothing to pin definitively. On paper, the case stalled. Legally, it went nowhere. But the damage? That was already done, and it was irreversible. Because once bullets enter the picture, everything changes. Nothing feels like coincidence anymore. Business disputes don't feel like business. Delays don't feel accidental. Silence doesn't feel neutral. Trust, once broken under that kind of pressure, can never fully return. And for Wayne, that night marked the end of a naive loyalty. He could no longer see the situation as just a label problem. This wasn't about albums stuck on shelves or contracts buried in fine print. This was personal, deeply personal. It had crossed a line he never imagined with someone he once called family. So Wayne stopped waiting. He stopped hoping things would sort themselves out behind closed doors. He doubled down. Legally, strategically, relentlessly. He filed suit against Cash Money, then Universal. He claimed royalties were blocked, accounting ignored, ownership promises denied. He alleged advances were never fully paid, profits diverted without consent, tens of millions mismanaged or withheld. Every filing was another strike in a war that had already cost him years of music, time, and energy. The lawsuits dragged on. Years passed like slow-motion winters. While other artists rose, dominated the charts, and built legacies, Wayne's career felt frozen in time. Fans waited for albums that never came. Songs that were finished remained unheard. Tours were postponed, collaborations delayed. And entire eras of hip-hop passed by, while Wayne remained trapped in legal limbo. At some point, the weight of it all became visible. In interviews, Wayne spoke openly about frustration and fatigue. He hinted at retirement, sounding defeated in a way fans had never heard before. The man who once ran the industry, who had been its golden standard, now felt powerless inside it. A titan confined not by talent, not by creativity, but by a system he had helped build. Until finally, the pressure broke. The momentum shifted. every lawsuit, every sleepless night, every late-night studio session spent frustrated and unheard, started to move toward resolution. In 2018, the war ended quietly. No dramatic press conference, no victory lap, just a settlement filed behind closed doors. The details stayed sealed, but the results spoke louder than any headline. Wayne was free. Free from cash money, free from the contracts, free from the cage he helped build but could never escape. For the first time in his career, he owned his future, his music, and himself. And when the Carter 5 finally dropped, it proved everything. No label drama, no delays, no excuses, straight to #1. Wayne didn't just survive the fallout, he dominated without it. He showed the world he never needed control to create greatness. But freedom doesn't erase scars. Birdman eventually apologized publicly, called Lil Wayne his son again. They reunited on stage, standing side by side as fans cheered, hoping the past had finally been buried. Yet even in reconciliation, the weight of everything that happened still lingered, because some bonds don't break cleanly. They just bend, permanently. Something always felt stiff. Interruptions, awkward moments, viral clips that suggested trust hadn't fully returned. They're cordial now, respectful, focused on legacy, but some wounds don't fully heal. Lil Wayne walked away owning his destiny. Birdman kept his legacy, even if it was tarnished. The industry learned a lesson it still ignores today. That loyalty without transparency comes at a cost, and mentorship without accountability can turn into control. That father-son bond, it survived, but it was never the same. Because when trust breaks at that level, forgiveness doesn't always mean forgetting. And that's what makes this story so complicated. Not who won, not who lost, but what it cost both of them to finally move on. And if you enjoyed this breakdown and want more deep dives into hip-hop's most controversial stories, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. There are more untold stories behind the legends, and this was just one of them. Thanks for watching full video. Stay tuned for more such videos.